Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks, here to give you a quick market update. This is more of a hype update based on the new story that was just released while I open this box of WTR here. They released, or Flesh and Blood released a story just moments ago that basically gives us a little fictional setup for why Everfest. It's pretty interesting. You should go read it on their website. It's under articles. I believe it's called A Grand Adventure, and it includes Lexi, Oldheim, and Briar, and 2 additional characters, which is why I wanted to make this video, because it sort of confirms, or starts to confirm, the suspicions we had about some sort of elemental wizard being included. And then if you take Valda into consideration, you begin to see that this is pretty exciting. This is going to be a quick one. These cards I'm actually using for a cube. I'm using those, what are they called, Cubamajigs, to repackage each pack. So I'm just going to stack them up. I'm not going to sort them out or do the values because I want all the cards included exactly as they were in the box. So that's why I'm going to go through this really quick and just kind of get it done. But back to the Grand Adventure. So, a couple of cool things that were, I guess, revealed. There's a couple characters. The first one of interest, or at least interest to me because I've been talking about an elemental wizard for a while, is Mara, who apparently uses fire at least once because it's described. Maybe not an elemental wizard, maybe it's a generic wizard, and fire is just one of those things. If you think about Kano and lava and all the stuff that Kano does, rain of fire, etc., maybe that's just how they work. And then the other one is a bard named, what the heck is his name? Strange name. Yorick. Yeah, Yorick the Bard. Very clearly bard, named a bard, has a loot that gets destroyed by Oldheim. He gets a new one by the end, though. And he's involved in the story a lot. There is a third character that we don't have much on. He's in the story, but he's not spoken of much. He's only mentioned a handful of times, and it's mostly to identify like certain things that happen. His name is Thawne, Thawne. He's a blacksmith, which I don't know, that doesn't really feel like a class, but maybe I'm wrong. And going to Everfest, they do talk about trinkets and stuff you can buy there, so maybe they'll have some sort of like craft functionality there. But the cool thing, or I think the thing that's most hype in my opinion, is that it is described in an adventure format. So these heroes team up and they end up with Briar, Oldheim, and Lexi, Mara, and I guess Thawne is technically still there, and Yorick, all going on this adventure to figure out what these old text is. So essentially the blacksmith, the mage, the bard, and Lexi end up going up the mountain near, I think it was Eisenhoff, the Volthaven. Volthaven, that's right. And they find that the mountain has split open, and inside they find an armory that is like emptied out or something. It's like an old ancient armory inside the mountain. And there's like magical script they don't know how to read. So then they go wandering around trying to find someone that can read it, which is why they end up finding Oldheim and Briar. And then ultimately, at the end, and sorry, this is going to have spoilers, so turn it off if you don't want spoilers about the article that you can read. Basically, at the end, they see a poster for Everfest that explicitly calls out that there's seers at Everfest, that you can get your oracle read or whatever, age-old seers, divine seers, which is what this particular wise queen or whatever told them to do, is go find these old seers. And so they're like, why are they at a festival? That's so weird. Well, I guess we got nothing better to do. And they sit down and have a drink, which is where you get that recent card where it's like everyone's drinking in the tavern. So that is actually a scene. That bard there, as I had predicted, at least with my friends, is actually, it seems, a character. We'll find out soon what that means exactly. Bard is one of the listed characters in the lore, so it would be cool. But I would say, don't expect him to be a full character. He's probably just a Blitz-only character. He doesn't seem to have as fancy a garb as everyone else. Like, he's just a kind of a secondary character. But if you think about it, some of the stuff here, right? So we have an adventure motif. We have a party going to an adventure. And we have them in here, finding artifacts and old things. One of the things that was mentioned was there's a slot in this table in the middle of this mountain that was the size of a coin or a stone or whatever. So we think this is probably the gem. And if you recall the story from the gem, being about some ancient race that was trying to outlive, I don't know, some cursed time or something. So it's probably the reveal, the Rudy Gem Keeper reveal gem, the secret one, which is the 4th gem. And so if that's the case, it is missing from this table. So now you're thinking, okay, there's an adventure here. You got to go retrieve this. Now you got your like general hook for a quest. And then some of the other things, there was big tapestries or art on the wall or something. I forget exactly how it was formed, but it was all over the place. There was different scenes, and one of the scenes they described is a giant red dragon standing over a mountain or something like that. And it's like, oh man, are we about to have like a classic dungeon adventure here where they, go chase down a dragon, fight a boss, and then retrieve the gem to, I guess, put the mountain back in shape because it had split open and all this stuff was happening. It was causing all these problems. I mean, it sounds like it to me. I don't know about you, but it sounds like this is pretty much confirming PvE is a thing, that it will be fun to use the current, elemental heroes as a party. It sounds like there will be kind of minions or side members of the party, including this mage and this bard who may be... my guess is the setup. It feels like the setup is that they're going to be support characters. They're going to be useful in party PvE battles, but maybe not so much in the PvP battles that we see in current game structure. Maybe they both have supporting characteristics, which you can imagine, right? Like, what's a bard going to do against a freaking wizard or a warrior by himself? So it doesn't make sense for a PvP, but for a PvE, these supporting characters may be awesome. And if you really think about it, this rounds on me, the featured image, which is them all drinking and whatnot, is very much a PvE sounding card. Each hero draws a card, right? It's not just you. So in a PvP component, and that's one of the Majestics, it is confirmed from the reveal, the Merry Christmas reveal, it means everyone on your team will draw a card. That's the optimal use for it. Yes, you can use it in a PvP situation, especially if you're someone like Volda, where an opponent drawing a card is an advantage. But you can also see it being a useful party mechanic and a useful way to do this in a group. I think there's multiple of these out there. Coax a Commotion's another one. Everyone in the group gets to do all the things, right? Clearly there's some setup for this. James White has even issued a statement, well, not issued a statement. In an interview, he brought up the fact that he was thinking about and really considering PvE. So I think this is our teaser. I'm with Louis from Kitchen Table TCG and a few others, but I know Louis has been the biggest proponent of this. The secret product that's coming out sometime shortly after Everfest, I think it's a PvE setup. I really do. This seems to set it up so beautifully. They're going to go to Everfest. They're going to go see the seers. They're going to find the answer about this text and what it means, and that's going to set them off on their adventure. And of course, like any classic D&D or adventure and fantasy sort of realm, it all begins in a tavern, right? Like, how many throwbacks and classic throwbacks can you have? So this is awesome. It's exciting to me. I think it's fun. I love this concept. I love PvP. Don't get me wrong. I love the current format. I love Classic Constructed, actually, probably the most, even more than Blitz. But I like that there's this new game mode that's, a little bit more fun, adventure, story-driven stuff. I think the lore is interesting. I haven't dug into it deeply like I know some people have, but what I have read about it is fun and amusing and curious, right? It's very interesting to me. So anyways, that's me on this. Let's think about market implications. So first and foremost, obviously you have anything that has a multi-character effect, such as a Coax a Commotion. This rounds on me is probably something we're going to want to think about holding on to or getting extras of as Everfest goes. Because I don't think Everfest is going to be PvE focused itself. I think it will be that following product. And obviously, once we see more reveals, we can change our mind on this. But essentially, using that as the basis of knowledge, anything that's coming that's PvE or PvE friendly, might be something to think of and hold on to as a valuable future set as PvE gets revealed in the next product. Obviously, if Everfest is completely PvE focused and it's very apparent right there, then this is not that great of a speculation. But if it isn't, and people are still focused on, Blitz and those sorts of things, this might be an opportunity. Other two things to consider. What works well with a Bard? I have no idea. If anyone has idea, leave a comment. I'm actually curious how Bard would work in this game. I can't envision like any of the other cards as Bard friendly cards. Obviously generics are useful for Bards, but which ones would be Bard centric? I don't see it, right? I just don't understand how those pieces work. So maybe Bard is just Bard by itself with a few cards. Maybe Bard's not a thing. It feels like it is, but maybe it's not. Also feels like the Wizard is a thing, again featured pretty heavily in this story. So I do believe we'll get a Blitz Wizard, and so then that leads you to think about speculating on the boots and the other things that are Wizard-centric. There's not a whole lot of high-value cards with Wizard, and it's hard to say if this future Wizard would be able to use all of these cards or want to use them, depending on what kind of cards get revealed with it. So it's not a whole lot to speculate on, but it's definitely an interesting take. I'm super excited about it, generally speaking. It reveals a lot more of the world. It shows how Arya is kind of a central point for this adventuring lore. And it also kind of is exciting to think about the heroes together. What does it mean to have a Briar and a Lexi and an Oldheim fighting side by side? One of the things that comes up is the hybrid cards become a lot more interesting. I know it will still be difficult to draw the multi-fusion cards, but if you think and try to drive towards a defensive and offensive build, not towards an opponent that you need to block against, but maybe towards a PvE scenario. And obviously we got to know how the rules work, but there might be a better synergy with the hybrid cards, which would put a lot of cards that aren't being used back in use. I'm thinking in particular about the Majestics for Briar, and the Lexi cards that are kind of more towards the I guess the lightning friendly side of things. They're still ice, but they're what was the lightning ice one? Not, is it lighted up? It might be lighted up. Whichever one it is, those are the things to think about. Briar has some really strong hybrid cards too that aren't really used that much. Just something to think about. I think it's interesting and intriguing. We'll have to see where it goes from here. Like I said, I'm not going to do the card values on this. It was approximately like 30 or 40 bucks, I think, just from a top of the head kind of math. This was not a great box, but that's fine because it gets to go into my cube, and I'm super excited about that. And the Cube and Magic products are pretty solid. So if you like the content, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. See you next time.